I have a story about getting robbed. You guys want to hear it?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. So, it's kind of long. I hope my mic holds up. But here's the deal. I was probably like 16 years old. I'm living in Ocean City, New Jersey. Shout out to everybody. And it started off with my mom. The money was just missing from her purse, and that's all there was to it. Like, she wasn't even sure she got robbed. She thought she had 40, 60 bucks in her purse, and it wasn't there anymore. And whatever, it passes. The next weekend, same thing happens. And then the following weekend, 3 weeks in a row now, same thing happens. So at this point, there's no doubt that money's being stolen. And my older brother and I, he came to me and he's like, "Are you stealing this money?" And I'm like, "No, I had that same concern about you. I thought maybe you were the one, taking our mother's money." And we both left the conversation convinced that each other were innocent, that we're not the ones who are robbing our own parents. And probably, they maybe skipped a week, and then we got robbed like a fourth or fifth time. And my mom started like moving it around. She used to just keep her purse hung on like a kitchen chair, and she started putting it like in a kitchen cabinet or leaving the money inside a drawer. And none of these things worked. The guy would just sort of search the house and find her cash, and it was gone. And at the time, I used to sleep on the living room couch like almost every night. And whatever, I was a wacky teenager. And I had this like Velcro surfer wallet next to me on the coffee table, and we had probably been robbed, I don't know, 6 or 7 times at this point. And one of them, her purse was like left with its belongings scattered in the backyard. So it's just totally getting robbed on this. And I woke up in the morning and my wallet was emptied and tossed on one of the other couches in the living room. And it was like, wow, that wallet was 18 inches from me. He was above me while I was sleeping, stealing my money, looking at me.
Heavy sleeper much?
I guess so. So my reaction from this was to be kind of upset. And my friends and I had a game plan. It's a stupid teenager game plan where we were going to like tackle him and duct tape him and torture him and stuff like that. Maybe shave thief in his head. But we camped out for him because he came pretty reliably on like Friday and Saturday nights. So we camped out in the house waiting for him to come, and he didn't come. We weren't able to stay quiet. Like, we were quiet for like 5 minutes, and then we just goofed off in the dark all night, and he never came. So one day, I was up super late watching ESPN Lumberjack Cutoffs. I'll never forget it, where they put like motorcycle engines on chainsaws. And it's about 3 a.m., and I hear this creaking on the basement steps. And it's just like creak, 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 and I'm like, oh my god, and I'm on edge at this point. And I walk over to the steps quietly, and I see the guy's fingers wrapped around the door, which also squeaked as he, I don't know if he was pulling it back closed or what, but I saw the guy's hand. So I confronted him, and I pulled open the door really fast and started screaming, like every curse word I could think of. And he looked at me, his eyes went big, huge, and he fell backwards and rolled down the stairs. And so I gave chase, and I chased him out through the basement, and he ran through the backyard and down the alley. And my screaming woke up my father, and he gave chase too. And he went down the alley, but the guy had a bike stored like 2 or 3 doors over.
Had a bicycle?
Wait, he had a bicycle or a motorcycle?
I think he said bicycle.
Yeah.
A bicycle. So is my mic okay at the moment?
Yeah, it's good.
Yes.
All right, sorry. So he had a bicycle about 2 doors down, and he hopped on that and rode away. So we called the police, and first a couple of detectives came, and then the K-9 squad came, and they were able to follow his trail for like a block or so, but they didn't catch him. They put on an APB. It didn't yield anything. But there were a couple takeaways from this whole thing for me. One, so I was like bad breath distance from this guy, and I couldn't pick him out of a lineup. I didn't stand in the actual lineup like they have on a TV show, but a detective came to me with a bunch of people who sort of fit his description. He was a skinny, light-skinned black guy, and he was short. So they had like 16 people who fit this description and asked me to pick which one. And I looked at it, and I was like, I just couldn't reliably pick out this guy. And it opened my eyes to how bad eyewitness testimony can be. Because you couldn't get a much better interaction with him than I did. I mean, we were probably face-to-face for 5 seconds, and I was only 1.5 feet from him. and I still couldn't recognize him because I was just too tensed up and out of my mind. And I was like looking at the detective, asking for like guidance. I've like got my finger on a picture and I'm trying to read his face. Like, help me out here. I would more than gladly pick the guy that you think it is. But he wasn't playing that game in the slightest. If I couldn't positive ID him, he didn't want anything to do with like a helped positive ID. So that was kind of neat takeaway. And eventually, like they didn't actually notify that they caught him, but I was reading the paper. And I saw his picture and thought that was probably him. And I saw that he was arrested on something like 50 counts of burglary. And his MO fit, our MO. So I think the guy got caught. And the police kind of knew who he was. As a matter of fact, when we called the police, the night that I confronted him, they actually went to his house first, hoping they'd catch him on the way home, like with our stuff. So I think they eventually caught him, but that was that. But then there's more. The other thing is I had nightmares about it for like 10 years. A seriously long time. And the nightmare was always the same. I was in bed, and somebody was like creeping over me, ready to like attack me, which is not what this guy did. He was all about cash. But they were ready to get me. And in the nightmare, I would wake up slowly. So in real life, like if you were next to me, I'd be kind of like struggling, moving a little bit, but not able to get the words out. And you know how like when you're mostly asleep, you can almost control the dream, or like what happens in real life has some influence on what's happening in the dream. Yeah. That's where this was. So this unable to sort of yell or deal with the problem manifested itself in the dream as being paralyzed with fear. And I would be sweating and whimpering, and it only lasted like 30 seconds or so. And then I would wake up and realize like I'm here and everything's cool and this and that. But not to compare myself to someone who like had seen military action, but I kind of get what that might be like. Like I've had a taste of it because like on game day, I wasn't scared at all. I confronted the guy. If I had caught him, I'd have taken him down. He was smaller than me, and I'd have put a hurting on him. So on game day, I was at my prime. But for 10 years, I had nightmares about this thing, and they got less frequent, toward the end there. But it was
probably
a big
could have
deal.
like hunted him down and beat the hell out of him, and that would have fixed the nightmares.
I used to sleep with a knife under me for quite some time, just to sort of be prepared.
I got a question.
And,
why do you just rugby kick him right in the chest?
Looking back, that probably would have happened. Like that probably would have been a good tactic. But what did occur to me was to open the door and start screaming at him, and even that was kind of gratifying. He was scared to death of me, and that was kind of a cool thing. It turned out. He stole the money to feed his drug habit. I think he was a heroin user, meth user. I'm not even sure, but something that made him as unnaturally skinny as he was his drug habit, and that's why he was robbing us. So yeah, my takeaways from that whole thing were I kind of get post-traumatic stress disorder. I get as in like understand it, I grok it, and next time I hear eyewitness testimony, like, oh, I saw that guy across the street, I know it's him. You probably don't. I had a better view of my guy than you did, and you'd be unusual if you really saw him that well. So